Myself and my husband moved to Canada. I didn't use any agent. I did the whole process myself.
Don't wanna take it slow, just wanna let you know, ready to spend some time.
Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Oyinda Mola Alao and I'm a YouTuber based in Calgary in Canada. If today is your first time seeing this video, please don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and always keep coming back for more. And if you are a returning subscriber, I really appreciate you for coming back. So today's video is something that a lot of people have requested for. So I've gotten lots of comments, lots of messages about how did I come out all the way from Nigeria to Canada, and I decided that okay, let us make a video because I can't reach a number of people by sending messages, and it's a long story. Like, it's a very long story. So I just said, let me shoot a video so anyone who needs this video can always go back and watch the video. A lot of people have also asked me, can I get them an agent number that I use? I didn't use any agent. I did the whole process myself. Majorly, I'll tell all of the details in this story. This video will definitely have a part 2. So this is like the part 1 of the video, how I moved to Canada as a PR. So let me give you a background story of how the whole thing started. I'd always wanted to travel out. I'd always had it in my mind. I wanted to leave Nigeria. I wanted to move to another country. And I remember that back after finishing uni, I finished my university education undergraduate in 2015, and in 2016 I wanted to go to UK to study. So my thought was I'll go to the UK to study and that's how I'll move. But it didn't happen. I got the admission, there was no money. We moved. So I started my master's in Nigeria. That was like a plan B. So along the line, I almost finished my master's, and then I found out that I could also move to Germany, like doing another master's. And I was up for it because I really wanted to leave Nigeria. It was like a dream. So I tried out the application processes and it didn't work. Now, I had this cousin, like an older sister. I just told her about the Germany plan, like I wanted to move to Germany and it didn't work out. And then she told me, oh, she's moving to Canada very soon as PR. And why don't I just go to Canada rather than try Germany and all other places, because I already have a master's. I was rounding up my master's at the time. So she just told me it made sense to use my master's to move rather than going to another country to do another master's. And then she started explaining the whole process to me because she was moving at the time. She was leaving Nigeria and she had done it. So she had gone through the whole process. So she had done it and she was leaving. So she explained to me, she told me, okay, go and read up on this. That's one thing you should know on any journey you're trying to make, especially relocation journey. You need to research. Like, you need to make a lot of research. I did that. Like, my head was blowing with lots of information. That's why if you wake me up today and ask me questions on what I did, I can tell you everything because I did a lot of research. If you don't research and then you start saying, okay, somebody did this like this, there are no two applications the same way. So you must make sure you find out what am I supposed to do at this point and all of that. So this is how the whole thing started. So you can pick one or two things from my story. Now, mind you, I am not an agent. I'm not an immigration expert. I am not an immigration consultant. So everything I'm saying based on my own experience. That's why I say that you should research, because I think like 30% of whatever I did are changed. All of these things evolve. So take whatever I say with a pinch of salt. Definitely, this is my own story. This was how I went through my own process. So you can take some of these things I'm saying. You can take some of it and also read up on IRCC's new immigration plans. I would link IRCC's website in the description box so you can check it out and read up. Now, in 2019, at the end of 2019, after my cousin told me about it, I immediately opened WES. WES is World Education Services. I immediately just put my profile in I said I had 2 degrees because I had completed my master's at the time. So I used my master's and my undergraduate. So, like I said, you need to make some researches. While I was doing my research, I didn't know that I could use my highest degree, which was just my master's degree. And I use West because I'm in communication line. Some other professional degrees like medicine, law, and all of that, they have their own separate bodies of evaluating documents. So you're not going to use West. But for me, I used West. So I opened the profile, I put in all my details. I had a master's degree, so that's like a master's. There are different levels. So I put in my master's degree, and then I needed to send my transcripts to West. So first things first, I went to UI. I told UI I needed my transcript sent to West. I paid all of the money and all of that. And they told me it was going to be sent in like maybe a month or so. That was in January. And then I went to my undergraduate uni Osun. I told them I wanted to send my document, and there was a lot of issues. But eventually they told me it was going to be sent. And then I left there. So I registered for IELTS. So it's either you are writing British Council or IDP, and I registered for British Council. And I was writing general training, not academic. Academic is for school. General training is for PR. So I registered, and I registered to write it in a month. In my head, I was like, it's something that I would seriously wake up in the midnight and read, and I'll be ready for the exam. So I decided to write it 13th of February. So I took this exam, and after writing the exam, I waited for my result, and my result came. And guess what? In listening, I had 8.5. In reading, I had 7. In speaking, I had 7.5. And in writing, I had 6.5. Omo, I was shattered. I started blaming myself that why did I just take a month to write this exam? Because it wasn't cheap. I think at the time I paid like 80 something K. I cried because my cousin had told me to read very well for this exam. My cousin is the person who was always checking up on this application. So she had told me to prepare well, that this exam is not as simple as I think it will be. And seriously, I prepared. I was always reading up in the middle of the night and all of that. And then the result came out at 6.5 for writing. I didn't even know how to call her and tell her. So I was crying, cried. And when I finally braced up to tell her, I told her I failed this exam because adding all of my scores. So I will get to that point. If I add all of my scores with my IELTS, I was going to be getting 413. So because I got 6.5 in my writing. But then if I was able to get 7 in my writing, my score will shoot up from 413 to 475. Yes, that 0.5 score will shoot me up to that peak. So I was crying, I didn't know what to do. I was not ready to rewrite it, because for me to write it in a month was because I didn't have time. I wanted to do everything as soon as possible. So she told me, okay, let's stop crying first. Let's see if we remark this thing and it can shift. That she has seen it work for people. That we just need to start praying and let's try remark this thing. So I was going to send the remarking document to Lagos, to British Council in Lagos. I was in Ibadan. So I sent all of these documents through a bus to my then friend, now my husband. So, and he was working in a bank, so I sent him the money to pay and do all of the things. It was 15K at the time to remark. So he paid this money, sent all of the documents, and took them to British Council. I was in Ibadan, so I couldn't go to Lagos that particular time. He took it to British Council, and then we started waiting for their response. I think at the time when he sent it, it was around March. It was in March. COVID had not really happened that time, so he took it there, and I started waiting for their response. Then COVID happened. So COVID happened, my transcript from UI was not yet sorted, and my remarking was not done. So I was just there. And then lockdown happened in March. I couldn't get my transcript verified, because after West got the transcript, they would also send a message back to the university to verify that they were the ones who sent that transcript. So my undergraduate transcript was done, but my postgraduate transcript was still there, like it was hanging. They were sending me messages that they've sent message to UI and they've not responded. So COVID had happened. There was no way I could get through to the university. I was also waiting for my remarking. Little did I know that remarking had even been done a week after, and they had sent me a mail. So I think the mail got lost in transit. But then I kept on researching how I could reach out to British Council. And on Nairaland, I joined a group on Nairaland for PR and all of that. I saw that someone sent a message, like a mail to a particular email address, and they put it out there. That's why I said you need to do research. So I picked this email address and sent a mail to them saying that I've not yet gotten back from my remarking. And I think a week after, I got a message that they responded to me, it has been remarked. And I was like, I've not seen it. And then April 12th, I got another mail saying that my scores are changed. They sent me a mail, even though I didn't see this is the new score. And yeah, they remarked it, and I got that 0.5. From 6.5, my scores increased to 7, which means that my score was now perfect. I needed that 0.5 to move from 413. Imagine what 0.5 can do. And it moved me to 475. So my IELTS was done. It was ready. Remaining my transcript verification. I started reaching out to people. Do you know anybody in PG office for UI and all of that? Then one of my friends told me that in his class, there's this woman that works in the office and is going to help me talk to her. So he did that and sent me a number. I called this woman. That was in April. She told me that the offices were closed and they will reopen in May, though, but they'll be working skeletally, that she will let me know when to go to the office. So in May, I called her again, and then she told me, okay, that they open Mondays, Thursdays, and all of that, that I should just go. So I went, I think mid-May, I went there. I didn't see her number wasn't going. And then I went to the office. I stood by the transcript office. I was just staying there waiting until someone came. One man came and asked me, what do you want? I explained to him that I needed my verification done and all of that. And the man said, okay, that I should give him my matric number and all of that. Me, I didn't know that he could do anything. I just gave him the matric number and then sat down there. After like 30 minutes, this man came out and was like, why are you still here? I said, I'm waiting for someone to help me. He said he has done it, that he went in 5 minutes ago. Like he went in and then 5 minutes after he was done. I was like, wow. Imagine something I'd waited from January, got done in 5 minutes. Anyways, I just left and all my documents were ready. So transcripts were ready. Wes sent me a message that my transcript will be done on the 29th of May, and it got done like a week even before the 29th, and that was sorted. Transcripts were sorted, IELTS was sorted. So now I need to enter the poll. That's the express entry profile. So I filled out all my information, my age, my IELTS result, my West, every other thing that I needed to fill. I filled it. You can find all this information in the IRCC website. So I filled that and I did submit. So every time I was filling anything, I always wait for the extra I, because I just wanted to be sure that everything I'm submitting was okay. So I waited for my cousin to go through it, and when she did, she said it was fine, and then I submitted. I submitted my application for the express entry. That was June 8th, I remember. In fact, when I submitted, it was like at least I had gotten one leg in. My cousin asked me and she was like, in fact, because I will keep mentioning her name, shout out to Titi that helped me throughout all of this process. That's my cousin. So she asked me how I felt. It was like one leg in, how I felt in all of this process. And I'd not gotten anywhere, but I just felt that, okay, we're moving forward. The ministry was moving and we continued. So I was waiting for ITA. ITA is invitation to apply. So they do this draw. IRCC does this draw that every two weeks, they would pick a particular number and that number will be in the pool where you have submitted the application. Then that number would now help you know that, okay, from this particular number to this number, you are given invitation to apply to come to Canada, like to submit all your documents. So, I said there was COVID. So COVID happened, and June I submitted, there was no draw. July, there was no draw. Okay, I think the draw started in July. So when the draw started in July, they started at 480 something. The scores were high. I was worried. I was at 475. Is he ever going to get to me? So every time she just kept telling me, don't worry. And I also had a friend here in Canada at the time, but he was studying. So we just kept talking about it, and everybody was like, the scores were low before COVID. So people had entered the pool. They will definitely need to clear all of that before they move down. So we waited. July draw started, I didn't get. August, and then September, 2nd of September, I will not forget. Then they were supposed to do the draw. They do this draw every Wednesday, every 2 Wednesdays, like 2 weeks Wednesday. So they did the draw, and that particular Wednesday, they didn't do the draw in the morning. I was waiting in the afternoon, because they used to do the draw at 4, like around 4 p.m. Nigerian time. I checked, no draw. And I had all these groups I joined, all this WhatsApp group, like immigration WhatsApp group never ends. So you would have even seen it on the WhatsApp group. So on the WhatsApp group, no draw, nothing. And then I think around like 8 p.m. they did this draw, and boom, it was 475, my score. First things first, I went to check was tie-breaking rule. So tie-breaking rule, it means that, like, me, I'm applicant A, I submitted June 8. If I submitted June 8 by 4 p.m. and somebody else submitted June 8 by 12 a.m. of June 8, and they said June 8 is the date and time when they will pick, it will mean that somebody that submitted before me will get that point, and me, I won't get. Will get that draw, and I won't get, because there's a particular number they pick. Once they get to that number, if they say they are picking 2,000 people, and the 2,000th person submitted before me, they are not going to pick me for that draw. So I checked the tie-breaking rule, and tie-breaking rule was August, and I submitted in June. Come and see jubilation. I was happy. I called my mom. At the time, I had not even started telling my mom any of these things, because I was doing it on my own. I wanted to be like getting there before I now explain. So told my mom, told this my cousin, everybody was happy. Like, now I can see they've written my name with pencil. So it was like a joyous moment that September too. I remember the way I was joyful. And then now we have now moved in, and we needed to submit all of these documents. When they give you ITA, they send you a mail. In that mail, it contains a document, and that document states every single thing they calculated to make up your point of 475. So if you can see this on your screen, like, so they calculated, first things first, you can see human capital, that's age. Age means that I was less than 30 at the time I applied. Human capital level of education, I have 135. For age, I had 110, that's like the highest, less than 30. Human capital level of education, my highest level was master's. Then official language, I got 130 for my IELTS. And then for my education, that's 50. Transferable skills, foreign work experience. So your work experience, you need to get like the highest score. The highest score is like from 3 years upwards of what you've been doing. And at the time, I'd been teaching for 3 years. So 3 years upwards, that gave me another point. So the calculation of all of these points was what made me had 475. So for this invitation to apply, you have two options. It's either you decline or you accept. Why will I decline? Something that I've been waiting for. I accepted. And in 90 days from when they sent you this stuff, after you've accepted, you must submit all your documents, like all the documents that they need from you, all the things you have claimed, your age, your level of education, all your documents, your work experience, your IELTS result, everything you must submit. And aside from submitting this, you would also submit your medicals, you submit your police report, you submit your proof of fund. So let me touch on all of this little by little. So for your medicals, there are two places in Nigeria where you can do it. Either you're doing it in IOM, Lagos or Abuja, or you're doing it in Q Live. I don't know the other place where they do it in Abuja, but for Lagos, I did mine in Q Live. You would apply online, pay your money. Okay, I think at that time, it was at the place after I booked my slot that I paid. I can't remember how much it was that I paid, but I went for my medicals. They did all these tests. They will take your blood, you do x-ray, you do all of this. This was my first medicals I did. So they will do all of those, and then after doing all of those, I would get a form. Like you get a form after. That form is what you upload in the space where IRCC provides. So when you are providing all your information, there's a placeholder, and be careful not to put another thing in the placeholder that is meant for, let's say the placeholder meant for education, you now put your medicals there. Don't confuse the visa officer that is going to be checking all your documents. So be sure that you are placing everything in the right place. So the placeholder for education, put your IELTS and all of the other documents. Work experience, you get a reference letter, and your reference letter should correlate with the reference letter that IRCC has stated. Like my own, I was teaching English at the time, and my work experience was in English. So there's this NOC form, just read up on it. NOC code, I mean, my NOC code must have like 70% work features, like the same work experience, like the characteristics of everything I did must correlate with what is on IRCC website. So all of those references, all those things, and proof of fund. Your proof of fund is like all the money you'll be needing. On IRCC website, there's already a particular money for family of one, family of two, and at the time, it was just me. I was applying as a single person. I didn't have a husband or anything. I wasn't married, so I applied by myself. So I needed money for just myself and myself alone. So the proof of fund, all those things, the money must be in your account. So for proof of fund, you can either use your salary, like all the money coming into your account, you have like to show, like you have a proof to show that this money is from your salary account. So which will mean that you're submitting your pay slip, you are using, maybe you sold your land, you have a receipt, so many other things. But for me, I didn't have that much money. Where will I get proof of fund of? I think it was like $14,000 Canadian dollars. So that was the point where my mom had to come in. My mom was supporting me, like she was gifting me the money, that she's giving me all of the money I need to get my proof of fund. So she had to transfer all the money from my account to mine. And this, you don't necessarily need to show a 6-month statement. So she sent me the money, I think a week or something, or a few days. I think she sent me the money a few days to me submitting the application, and I had to provide a deed of gift. So a deed of gift is a document stating that this money was sent by so person to my account. So I had to put it that this money was sent by my mom into my account. I listed her account number, I listed out her name, her address, and she was gifting me this money, and she has no right over the money again. So she would sign, I would sign, and I think there was another witness, and then I had to notarize this document. Like it had to be stamped. So after she signed, I signed. The document got sent to me by my mom from Lagos to Ibadan. I went to High Court in Ibadan and notarized this document. I can't remember how much that cost, but I notarized the document and I attached it with the statement to show that it was in my account. Then you also get a letter from your bank. At the time I used First Bank, they gave me a letter stating that this amount of money is in my account, and it's signed and all of that. So all of these documents is what we attach, like several pages of documents and all the other things you're supposed to fill. So you will fill all these documents, you would scan it, and then you now be placing it in the place holders. So after I did all of these things, I made sure I checked it once more. So I made several mistakes because there were a lot of mistakes. Arranging your work experience has to be like from the first work you did down to the last one and all. So all these mistakes I made were things that my cousin saw when she started correcting it for me. It took us like maybe 2 days to go through all these things. So after we finished, she proofread and checked and all of that. It was correct and I submitted. So I submitted my application on the 29th of September 2020 as a single person. So when I submitted, I now started waiting. So I'm not the only one waiting though. So we have all these groups. They call it AOR groups. That's when you submitted. People will just tell you I submitted this because there's a trend with IRCC. If somebody gets a mail at this particular time, you now start counting how many days did it take to get this thing, because like your medicals, after submitting medicals, you wait, they'll send you a message that your medicals have been passed. If your medicals got passed, they'll now send you a message to go and do your biometrics letter. So this biometrics letter is what you will take to VFS in Lagos or Ibadan and use it to do your biometrics. So there's a particular number of days it will take before they pass that medicals. So if you're in that group now, you will know how many days did it take this person. You now start counting your own. That is almost, it will soon reach me. It will soon reach me. That was how we kept saying, because IRCC would not tell you one thing like this from beginning to the end. They don't send you. They know you have submitted, just chill. But at the time, so many people were getting their applications approved in 3 months, in 6 months. So in my own head, I was like, in 3 months, in 6 months, I'll get my application approved too. But then I had now started dating this banker that I called my friend. He was now my boyfriend, and I wanted to do the application with him because I had heard so many stories of how people come to Canada, they wait for a while, they will now do spousal sponsorship, and it takes a long time. I didn't want to go through that process. And I'd also read, because I said you need to do research, I'd also read from people who eventually submitted the application, got married, added their husband, and it was fast. So I read both, I weighed my options. What do I want? I think I prefer that he will follow me. Not that I will now wait, get to Canada, start working before I now ask him to come over. So I now decided, okay, since I'd submitted my application, I can add my husband. So if you add your spouse pre-ITA, your scores will drop by 20 points. So imagine having 475 and it drops, I'll get 455. Hey, I wasn't ready for that. So what I did was, after I submitted my application, after you submit your application, you can get married. Because they wrote it that if your composition changes after you submitted your application, IRCC does not expect that you will not live your life. They expect you to continue living your life. If anything changes, you let them know. So I submitted my application in September. I read up on what to do if I get married after submitting my application, because people were getting approvals in 3 months. So in my head, I'm like, okay, before that 3-month space, maybe December, I will leave Nigeria too. I need to inform them that I will get married. So myself and my husband, we got married. I informed IRCC that I wanted to add him to my application. So we got married in November. I informed them in November that I wanted to add him. So remember that I submitted my application as a single. If I'm going to be adding him, my scores won't change. So I got married in November, informed IRCC that I got married, I want to add my husband, and so many other things.
Don't wanna take it slow, just wanna let you know.